Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Chloe and I am actually a writer and musician here on YouTube. Yeah, today, as you can tell by the title, I'm doing something a little bit different, but I also just want to apologise for the horrible lighting. I've got this shadow cast on me and I don't particularly like it. Today, as you can tell by the title, I am going to be doing something a little bit different. It's something I've not done before, but I am going to be sharing with you most of the rock bands that I have discovered in 2020. And the reason why I say most, I would say all, and that is kind of true but also kind of not, because some didn't actually make it into the final script, the final plan for this video. But yes, I'm going to be talking you through all of the different bands I have discovered this year, because rock bands anyway, because I have discovered a lot. And to put it simply, there are 14 on this piece of paper, and there were a few that didn't make the cut because, like I said, these are not in any particular order, like of when I discovered them, but how I am doing it is I have basically just listed all of the bands that I have discovered this year. And then I have 3 sections. I've got when, how, and the favourite songs. So when is obviously, you know, the month I discovered them. I did it based on month. And then the how is how I discovered them, because I thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about that element, because I know for a lot of people, you know, we all have different ways of discovering new music. I reckon we should just get straight into the video so you can see how I discovered so many bands this year. And I feel like the biggest one of the biggest ones anyway that I discovered this year, one of the first bands, like the biggest bands that I have discovered this year, is Bad Flower. And I actually discovered them back in May. You know, I've kind of loved them ever since. So how I discovered them, I basically found an acoustic version of their song recommended to me on YouTube. So it was a YouTube recommendation of their song Promise Me, but it was the acoustic version. And so because of that, I was then prompted to listen to the actual version, and then the actual version led me to the rest of their music. And that was back in May, and May was also the time that they came out with their new album. I think it was May. I think I might have discovered them at like the beginning of the month, like something like that, and then they came out with their Okay I'm Sick album. I mean, unless that came out in 2019 and I'm getting things wrong. But I remember doing an album reaction for that on my music channel, which is still up and running, so I may like leave that linked down in the description or up in the cards. My favourite songs of theirs there are probably quite a lot, but I tried to limit myself to 3 to 5 songs of each band. So my first favourite is obviously Promise Me, because that was the first one I ever discovered. And then after listening to their album Okay I'm Sick, my favourites from that were Daddy, Ghost, and X Anna X, which if you put it together spells Xanax. And then the one they have recently come out with, single wise, 30, I love that as well. And so they are all of my favourite songs from Bad Flower, and that is it for the first band. Band 2 is Water Parks, and I discovered them in October. A lot of these bands I discovered towards the end of the year in 2020, because I don't really know why. I think it's just because I was just listening to a lot more music in the second half of the year, and Water Parks were actually a rediscovery for me this year, because the first time I had ever heard of them was from a YouTube video, and they were doing an interview. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice. They were doing an interview with I don't know what you call them, but they were doing an interview, and the same like interviewer was interviewing another band that I really liked at the time, and that's kind of like how I heard of them and discovered them. And so I ended up giving them a listen, and then I naturally started to listen to them again this year because I don't really know what happened, but I just started listening to I Miss Having Sex But I Don't Want to Die Anymore. But at least I Don't Want to Die. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. I got their song title wrong. Bear in mind it is quite a long title. And that is, you know, the journey of like my listening journey with them. My favourite songs of theirs, naturally, I Miss Having Sex But At Least I Don't Want to Die is at the top. And then Stupid For You, Turbulent, Blonde and Lucky People, and they are all of the songs that I really like of theirs and listen to a lot, and they are all from like different albums of theirs as well. And then this is just another absolute favourite of mine, Band 3, Palaye Royale. This was another rediscovery because I had actually previously listened to them, and I had rediscovered them at the same time as I discovered Bad Flower. I had, you know, previously listened to a lot of Palaye Royale songs, just generally, not really from a particular album. And then in May, towards the end of the month, they came out with their album Little Bastards. So I naturally had to listen, and I also did another album review and reaction, first listen, whatnot, whatever you want to call it, and that will also be linked down in the description or up in the cards, because that was also over on my music channel, which I no longer use. Also with Palaye Royale, I think the first ever song of theirs that I ever listened to was Mr. Dr. Man. I think that's like a pretty common thing, but I listen to a lot of their other music now, and I've also recently listened to Dying in a Hot Tub, which I kind of like, but I'm not like dead set on it. But my favourite songs of theirs are obviously Mr. Dr. Man. Another one of my absolute favourites is You'll Be Fine, Little Bastards, Lonely, Tonight Is the Night I Die, and Black Sheep. And they are all of my favourites. Yes, there are 6 there, but can you blame me? It's really hard trying to condense my favourite songs down. So Band 4, I didn't actually discover in 2020. I had discovered them in I think 2019, but I want to kind of talk about it because they did come out with an album in 2020, I think, or either 2019, one of the years. You know, their album Trauma, I've never even said, but I Prevail. Oh my god, why didn't I say it? They basically released their album Trauma in 2019, and I had already like previously listened to a couple of their songs, I think, and then they came out with their album Trauma, and you know, my love for their music started then. Since then I've listened to their other albums as well, and I like some other songs from other albums, and my absolute favourites are, I've got down Paranoid, Hurricane, Every Time You Leave, Let Me Be Sad, and Dead on Arrival, so DOA. Band 5 is Smash Into Pieces. Smash Into Pieces are like one of my biggest discoveries from 2020, and I discovered them in September, I think. I actually really don't know when I discovered them. Am I sure? No, I think it was in the summer that I discovered them. Now I'm thinking about it, like July, August time, but I genuinely cannot remember when I discovered them, how I discovered them. So I had a YouTube recommendation of one of their songs called God Sent, and it was a lyric video, and so I listened to it, and I then went on to listen to The Chosen One, you know, with the lyric video, and then from that I found them on Spotify and I started listening to the rest of their songs. Honestly, I have just loved Smash Into Pieces since I started listening to them. They are just a firm favourite of mine. Now, I love a lot of their songs from, like, not just this year but previous years as well. With their songs it was really hard to condense it down, but I tried to pick out my absolute favourites. My favourite songs of theirs are My Cocaine, Another Day on the Battlefield, Breaking Out, Lullaby, Let Me Be Your Superhero, YOLO, and My Beast. I have 7 favourite songs. And then we move on to Band 6. So Band 6 is not really a band. They are actually a duo, and they are called The Muted, and they are based here in the UK. So I guess that kind of just makes it, I don't really know, like none of these other bands are like British or from the UK. And The Muted I discovered in September. And how, you might be asking? Well, they actually reached out to me directly, and from that email I actually then checked them out on Spotify, and I actually really liked their like style of music. I would describe them as like soft rock, and so I ended up doing a little review of Fishing in Concrete as a video. I will make sure to try and leave that link in the description or up in the cards. And obviously before I did that review, I did make sure to listen to the other songs before, like I said, and on Spotify, because that's where I listen to my music. And I instantly knew that I wanted to help support them. I am all about helping and supporting indie bands and just like independently, independently, it's the same thing, but just entirely self-produced. Because they work so hard. It's a lot of work, and to be honest, I don't think I'm prepared to release an EP. I definitely don't think I'm prepared to release an EP of my own at the end of this year. I definitely have not done my research, but I will be. But The Muted are entirely self-produced, by the way, so they do their own recording and mixing and mastering, which, to be honest, I have no clue how someone masters that sort of thing that I need to learn and master, no pun intended. And the first like favourite song from them was Jigsaw, and you know, when it does come on I usually sing along to it. My personal like overall favourites are Jigsaw, Fishing in Concrete, First Degree Burn, and Another Way Under the Sun. And then we move on to Band 7, I think, which is Skillet. Skillet were another second half of the year discovery, because I discovered them in September, and I actually discovered, I think I remember, because I've got it down here that they were a Spotify recommendation, but now thinking about it, I'm thinking they were an Instagram sponsor, because I used to get a lot of rock bands pop up between Instagram stories, and that's how I discovered some of these bands. They had a song on a playlist that I was listening to on Spotify, which could have also been the case, because I don't think they've come out with any new stuff recently, so maybe it was a Spotify recommendation, but it was a playlist that Spotify had curated, so I don't remember what song it was or from what playlist. 4 favourites of mine from, you know, all of their songs are Comatose. Comatose is actually one of my absolute favourites, which is why it's number 1. 2, Feel Invincible. 3, Legendary. And 4, Awake and Alive. Then Band 8, The Ghost Club. And I discovered them again in like July, August sort of time. Things are starting to get really blurry now, like when I actually discovered a lot of these bands, because I discovered a lot of them in the second half of the year, which I said at the beginning. They were actually a rediscovery, which is why discovery was in quotation marks. I was listening to a load of songs in a Spotify curated playlist again, and one of their songs came on, and I believe it was Antique that had come up on this playlist, and I had actually already listened to one of their songs before called This Bird Has Flown. Loved it, and it was actually, that song was actually recommended to me from a friend like a good couple years ago, and he's not really a friend, to be honest. But This Bird Has Flown is a really good song. My only favourites of theirs are, yes, Antique and This Bird Has Flown. Yes, so I believe we are now on band 9. So band 9 is actually Dark Station, and I believe I discovered these at Dark Station in September, October time. Yes, Dark Station was actually an Instagram sponsor. Between people's stories, the song that kept coming up was No Life, and it's actually the only song I've listened to, so it's the only favourite, because a lot of their stuff is a lot heavier, so I haven't really given the rest of the songs a chance. And then, like I said, No Life is my favourite song of theirs because it's the only one I've listened to, and I'm sorry to any Dark Station fans out there, but being completely honest, it's hard to be a fan of bands now that I listen to just so many different bands. Band 10? Yes, we're on band 10. And band 10 were actually Citizen Soldier. And I discovered this band in July. So, how did I discover Citizen Soldier? I discovered them because it was another YouTube recommendation of a lyric video of their song Would Anyone Care, and then from that I think I may have listened to a couple of their other songs on YouTube before then, finding them on Spotify, and that was just kind of like how I discovered them. And some of my favourite songs from them are Gunshot Lullabies, My Little Secret, Would Anyone Care, I'm Not Okay, and Weight of the World. And I think the majority of those songs are actually from their most recent album, which I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's like something Down the Rabbit Hole. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to leave links down in the description to all of these bands' Spotify pages, and also like YouTube as well. I'm probably gonna hate myself for saying that because it does require a lot of work, but I will try and see what I can do. But band 11 is actually Normandie. I discovered Normandie towards the end of October back in 2020, towards the end of the month, I believe. I believe it was another Instagram sponsor, Instagram stories, because I think around that sort of time Holy Water had just come out, so they were naturally promoting the song, and it just so happened to pop up, you know, between stories that I was watching, and I was intrigued, so I gave Holy Water a listen on YouTube. Then my love for them kind of spiraled from there. So I listened to Holy Water on YouTube, and then I started listening to their other music on Spotify. They actually have a new album coming out in February. I am so excited for their new album because I have loved the stuff they have already got out there. Yeah, I'm just really excited because I can't wait to do like an album reaction and first listen and everything like that to their new album. But some of my favourites of theirs already are obviously Holy Water, Dead, Enough, Fever, White Flag and Believe, but not the actual original version. My favourite is actually the alternative version, which I believe is on the gold edition of Inga's. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure. Inga's. I don't know how to pronounce it. Band 12 is actually Breaking Benjamin, and I discovered them back in September, I think. The reason that I didn't really discover them, I just kind of started listening to them because I know my boyfriend listens to them as well. He was listening to them before me, but he actually recommended, he said to me like I should give one of their songs a listen, and I did. And I think I listened to Dance with the Devil, and I think I've previously actually listened to The Diary of Jane by them from like covers on YouTube, because I watch a lot of like covers of songs like that on YouTube as opposed to actually listening to the actual song. But that's kind of like how I discovered them. It says here that I had listened to covers of Dance with the Devil as well, but then I kind of decided to try and listen to some more of their songs, and my favourites of theirs are naturally Dance with the Devil, The Diary of Jane, and So Cold, but not the actual version, like the original version of So Cold. I actually prefer the Aurora version. And then Band 13, we are nearing the end of this. Band 13 is actually Starset, not necessarily discovered in 2020, but they were a rediscovery because I kind of rediscovered them in October. I say rediscovery because I had previously listened to My Demons like a while ago. I think it actually came up as like a YouTube recommendation of that song, and I listened to it, but that was like a few years ago now. I can't even remember, but it was definitely a few years ago. I then discovered their song Trials in October, and I love that song, but unfortunately I don't know why. I feel like I haven't really given their other music a chance. I've tried listening to their other songs, like the rest of the album that Trials is on. I just prefer to listen to my other favourite artists instead, because I am like that serial music person. I don't just stick with one band, I listen to a lot of different bands, and I don't really fangirl about like one particular band. I do have merch, like I've got a Palaye Royale top, I Prevail top, 2 actually, and then there's another one. Oh, I've got a Bad Flower top as well. So I'm definitely not someone to be like a super fan of a band. But what was I saying? So yeah, my only favourites from Starset are My Demons and Trials. And then the very last band, Band 14 video, but Band 14 is Television Skies. Yes, I discovered them in October as well. Yes, they were another Instagram sponsor, and it just kept popping up between stories, and I was just like, and the chorus would play, and I'm just like, give me one for the road, I'ma turn up the lights. My voice is really rusty because I have been talking all day, but the chorus kept coming up and I was just like, oh, I don't really like that. And I kept just kind of bashing it in a way, but not really. I just kept skipping over it and not really thinking much of it. And then one day I finally gave it a chance and I actually listened to the whole song. I loved it. And yes, that is the only song that I have listened to of theirs. I feel really bad, but I mean, I will give their other music a chance at some point. So yeah, I have loved One for the Road ever since, and like I said, it's my only favourite song of theirs. Do I feel bad? No, because I don't want to just pick one band and stick with them, you know? They are all of the bands that like I have, not all of the bands I've discovered this year, but most of them, the ones that, you know, I thought were worthy of talking about. There were a couple that obviously didn't make the cut, but I'm just really happy that I finally got to do this video because I have been wanting to do this video for a really long time. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed hearing about all of these different bands that I have discovered in 2020, then make sure you smash that thumbs up button, and if you want to see more content like this, then make sure to subscribe down below and ding the bell to be notified every single time I upload, because I upload every Friday at 7 PM GMT. All of my social media links, along with all of the bands, will be linked down in the description for you to check out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.